Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? It's your gals, Morgan and Ryann, back for another week, another topic, I don't know, what else we got?
Another juicy gab sesh. I don't know.
Oh, juicy, I feel like that could be misconstrued.
That was the point, honestly.
Oh, okay, true, fair enough. Well, checking in, how you doing, Ryann?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a good week. I don't really have anything to complain about. I did a better balance of work and off work. So how do you say that? Oh, I had a better work-life balance this week.
Yeah.
So that really helped me actually, because I was able to get some stuff done around the house. As you know, I'm planning a wedding, so I was able to have a meeting about that. And yeah, I'm going to try to keep that up and remind myself, hey, it feels good not to be completely exhausted on the weekends. So yeah.
True. Yeah, schedule that rest if you need to. That's really
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Literally, pencil it in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Sharpie it in.
Right. Very good point. Yeah, so all things good. Yeah. I just re-dyed my hair, so I'm feeling very blonde. I feel like I'm having a Marilyn moment right now.
Yes, that's a good comparison. I thought Madonna, but I didn't think you like if I said Madonna. Oh, you like that? Okay, Madonna. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. But Marilyn's good is also a good one.
Yeah, but no, Madonna definitely had like the more curly moment.
Right.
So I'll go that route.
Different era. Yeah.
Different era, different times, you know?
Yeah.
But honestly, I'll take anyone at this point, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, other than that, just doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Got some stuff going on, but I am working on it. Still taking strides in my mental health.
Yeah.
Starting some new things. So we shall see. I will let you guys know, but it's a work in progress.
What are the new things? What do you mean?
I was just looking into more activities to help with mindfulness. I really need to, I've been feeling really out of sorts, like off balance with myself,
Okay.
So things like meditation, things like more journaling. I talk about this with my therapist, and I brought it up here, like tracking progress and things like that. I'm just not so good at the consistency with that. So I'm really, really trying to not feel bad about not doing it, but just realizing that it's only beneficial.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. So trying to practice a little forgiveness and grace, but also still trying to, be mindful. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I know a lot of mindfulness practices can seem daunting, even though the idea of them is supposed to like calm you down. But it is just that consistency, which we both struggle with. We are very, I mean, not even just inconsistent people, but we're just very like, what is it? Like shiny new toy syndrome, right? Like sometimes that seems to take over. And so it's like, oh, I'll try this thing, and hopefully it fits. And, sometimes it's good and sometimes it could be to our detriment. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that is kind of why I picked this week's topic.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
But first, disclaimers. If you guys don't know by now, we'll repeat ourselves again. We are not experts. We're not doctors. We're just two friends trying to figure things out.
Yes.
So we are talking about this week, getting out of your comfort zone.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I struggle with this a lot. Ryann knows. She's always pushing me, like, just do it, Morgan. I'm like, I don't know. I'm always finding an excuse. And so I'm trying to get out of my own way a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where this is kind of coming from. And so if you guys are feeling like that at all, hopefully this episode can give you a little something.
Mm.
You know, we're always just here to try and give you a little something. So
Yes, fair. And she's
all right.
right. I am a pusher.
Yeah.
I'm a pusher,
Pusher
Katie.
Katie. Ah.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good. All right. So first things first, what is your comfort zone? Seems pretty basic, but you know, we like to look things up here. So most of us spend a lot of time in our comfort zone. After all, when we're in our comfort zone, we know what to do and what to expect. So here are some descriptions of a comfort zone. So your comfort zone is a psychological, emotional, and behavioral construct. It's what's familiar to you and what feels safe, your regular habits and routines. When you're in your comfort zone, you experience low levels of stress and anxiety. In your comfort zone, there's little to no risk.
Okay.
Right? So there's nothing wrong with spending time in your comfort zone. After all, we all need to take time and relax and just be every now and then. So that's great. We all have it, right? We've all got one.
Yeah, this is interesting though, because I feel like sometimes being in your comfort zone causes like stress and anxiety. This is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. We'll see
Okay,
where it
well,
takes us.
let's see. Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to bring up, what's the problem with the comfort zone?
Okay.
So the problem starts when you get too comfortable there. When this happens, you stop striving to achieve your goals, you stop challenging yourself, and you let opportunities slip by, and you become overly complacent.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you mean when your comfort zone can cause you anxiety?
So that's what I was trying to think about what that meant for me. Yeah, because when you were
Okay.
saying like, yeah, things that are comfortable that might not help you reach your goals, I was like, this is weird because I feel like for me, sometimes my comfort zone is like living on like a roller coaster. Like we were kind of just talking about, you know, like you're saying you're trying to practice like mindfulness to like
Yeah.
find some consistency, find some balance, right? Like not your life coming in waves, right? Like you're
Right.
trying to figure out how to balance that out a little bit. And for me, like just like I was saying, you know, just this week, like I've done a better job at being more balanced this week, but it's only because the week before that was a fucking mess and I did way too much and I overextended myself, you know, and I was exhausted at the end of the week. So I like had no choice but to be like, no, I actually cannot do much on my off days. I need to like focus at home, you know, get some house chores done and like be done for the week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, in weird ways, like my comfort zone are habits that are like detrimental to me. Like they're not good for my mental health, you know? And so it's just bizarre because I'm like, that doesn't mean that my comfort zone is just so like risky. No, it just means that like I have really like some like really destructive habits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, preaching to the choir, sister.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's what I mean with
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like that brings
Right.
me stress and anxiety. Interesting.
Right, exactly. And that's again, that's why I wanted to talk about this topic this week because same thing. I definitely have some habits that are really bad for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ways. And but they are comfortable. They're what I know.
Yeah.
And so they create this chaos that I then always have to come back from.
Mm,
And it it's what I know, but I know it's not healthy for me now. And so
mm,
I feel like I've kind of been on this journey of figuring out what is healthy for me, how to
mm,
find that balance, how to find that okay space,
mm.
trying to
Yeah.
create a new comfort zone, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah.
But same exact thing. I totally see what you mean.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I could
Yeah.
also go something more simple. Like my comfort zone is like watching shows, right? Like I told Morgan, like I've been watching trash
Right.
TV for like the last, you know, like 2 days. Like I've just been so excited to dive into like some like trash reality TV. But like at the same time, when we have like goals that we want to set for ourselves with our podcast or
Mhm.
like starting up other portions of my like freelance business, like I know that there's things that I could be doing and there are things that I fall back into from my comfort zone. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Some parts of me also think it like falls into procrastination as well, right? Because it's not like I want to stay there. I don't
Yeah.
really feel necessarily fulfilled in my comfort zone, which, obviously is probably the point. But to me, like now I'm just thinking I are there people that are successful in their comfort zone? You know what I mean? Like, are there people that never had to step outside of their comfort zone to be
Um,
successful? You know?
Maybe you were like born into like a super wealthy family and you didn't have to like do anything. Maybe, but you could still have goals. Maybe you still want to like, I don't know what rich people do, but they might have other things they want to do. But I'm just saying, if we're scrounging for an example of someone who has never, had to leave their comfort zone in order to achieve more,
Right.
that might be an example, maybe.
Yes. No, yes, I was thinking that. I was like, I guess if you have a very privileged life, it's like,
Yeah,
whatever, let me just go travel to the south of France because like I'm bored. You know what I mean?
right.
Whereas, yeah, that's not something that we can just like up and go do because like we don't want to deal with like our everyday life.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I probably wouldn't be so worried about like my journaling if I could just get up and go to the south of France. So,
Right, true. However, like the more the more spaces that I'm in with like not even wealthy people, but just like people with more money, like even when we were traveling, like just the weirder that people act and get like weirdly hung up on like the dumbest shit. And I'm like, you're in first class. Like I wasn't in first class. I was in the first row behind it. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
so you could hear them from behind the curtain.
right, yeah, exactly. Like this like little partition thing. But I'm just
Yeah.
like, why are you complaining that like the fork is small or some dumb shit? But at the same time, you make a really good point.
They've
They've never had
always had normal sized forks. This is an inconvenience for them.
exactly right on the nose. Yeah. So
Right. Yeah. No, so it goes on to say that if the feeling of comfort signifies our most basic needs are being met, why should we seek to abandon it?
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Mhm.
There are strides that we want to make with the podcast or this or whatever example we want to use,
Mhm.
but we know that we're doing the podcast, or that you do have a freelance career. And so
Mhm.
those other things that you want to build upon aren't necessities when you're in your comfort zone. You still know
Mm.
that your basic needs are going to be met.
Yep.
So that stress and anxiety doesn't really bother you as much when you are in your comfort zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what holds people back most of the time is their frame of mind rather than any distinct lack of knowledge.
Hmm.
So, it's us people. We're the problem.
I knew it. I fucking knew
Yeah, right. I know. I've
it.
been telling myself that for years. So, all right. So, let's talk about it a little bit in regards to psychology. So, the metaphor of leaving one's comfort zone became popular in the 90s, but the phrase comfort zone was coined by management thinker Judith Bardwick in her 1991 work, Danger in the Comfort Zone. So, a quote from that says the comfort zone is a behavioral state within which a person operates in an anxiety neutral condition using a limited set of behaviors to deliver a steady level of performance, usually without a sense of risk.
Hmm. The
So it's all even keel.
right. What was that term? Oh shoot. Sorry. Can you say it again? There was a term in
Sure.
there that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the quote was the comfort zone is a behavioral state within which a person operates in an anxiety neutral condition using a limited set of behaviors to deliver a steady level of performance, usually without a sense of risk.
Mm. So an anxiety neutral state. Hmm.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Where's that person?
Yeah.
Um, no, but I think like staying at a job that you're going to get a paycheck for and you can pay your rent with, but it's
Mm,
not really what you want to do. You
mm,
know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that would probably be one example. But it goes on to say the concept can be traced back even further within regards to the world of behavioral psychology. 1907, Robert Yerkes,
Oh,
Yerkes. What do we think?
Yerkes?
Yerkes.
Yerkes.
Okay. Oh, that's more fun to say.
Yeah.
Yerkes and John Dodson conducted one of the first experiments that illuminated a link between anxiety and performance. So they did an experiment with mice and
Hmm.
they saw that they became more motivated to complete mazes when given electric shocks of increasing intensity, but only up into nope, but only up to a point.
Hmm.
Above a certain threshold, they began to hide rather than perform. I know. I thought that was
Oh.
pretty interesting. I know we don't go too much into the like super nitty gritty details like that all the time, but I thought that was interesting.
Right, right. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Like, I do think to a certain extent, yeah, like hiding from it, so to speak. Obviously, this is a little bit more metaphorical than getting
Yeah.
like shot, which is that animal cruelty. Should we keep
I don't, I mean, it was 1907.
that?
We don't have to agree with it now. We don't agree with this my mouse situation. Don't hurt animals.
Yeah.
But we're just saying, in regards to this experiment, this is what they did
Okay.
to figure
Fair.
this out. We don't condone it. We're just referencing the research.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. So, with that being said, yeah. So, I do think for that's a really good example. This also goes into like a lot of other topics, which I'm sure will come up in later episodes. But as far as like running and hiding from the things that I know I need to do, I mean, that is kind of what I feel like sometimes does happen after I get off of these like waves or roller coasters of life experiences, right? Where it's like, oh, I had this huge up and it was so exciting, but like, or, or it was really bad or whatever it was at the tippy top, whatever the climax was. And then when I hit that kind of like rock bottom of that situation, it's like, whoa, like what is it gonna take to get me out of this situation? Like what is it gonna take? And sometimes it feels like, well, why not just like stay in this like really bad space and like just ignore things? And I think that I I can't say that I can't do it anymore because it happens, but I do feel like I need to like break the cycle in some ways. I don't think it's going to happen overnight,
Right.
but you know what I mean? I do feel like in some ways that it is detrimental because how long can you hide for? you know?
Right. Exactly. Oh, for sure. I'm the queen of
Mm.
running away from my problems. I will admit that right here, right now. And yeah, 100%. Like I said, it's a work in progress. You're never going to not have problems. Shit
Right.
happens. That's life.
Right. Right.
But you can figure out better ways to deal with it, or you can
Yes.
try and work on your mindset so that you can still try to get where you're going,
Mhm.
even when you are confronted with a setback.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So,
And then also too, right? Like that's the thing, like you said, bad shit is going to happen no matter what. So whether you're pursuing that goal or you're not pursuing that goal, like life is still going to happen either way. And I think, like one time I saw a quote where it was like, you're going to be, a certain age in 5 years either way. So whether you go after that goal now or you don't, like either way, the time is going to pass, the things are going to happen, right? And so it's like,
yep,
so what is actually worth it? Is it worth having stress and anxiety about going after your goal or having stress and anxiety about not going after your goal? You know what I mean? Like, it,
exactly.
yeah,
Right.
what's the trade-off? And for me, like sometimes that is very motivating. Like, and I've said that in past episodes, like for me, it is motivating to know like life is going to happen either way. So like go after it, but I can't knock anyone that feels the opposite of that because it's so easy to fall into either of those extremes. But I do think that at least trying out whatever it is that you want to try out is always going to be a lot more worth it and a lot more fulfilling than not. I don't know.
Right. Right. And we brought this up in entrepreneurship
Mhm.
that, you know, failure is just a part of it, regardless of what you're doing. And I think that can be said for most aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships, your mental health, like everyone's going to fall down.
Yeah.
Even if they don't look like it on Instagram, everyone's going to fall down. So trying to be self-aware and bringing those tools to the table to pick yourself up or, to push yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, we can try to do.
Yeah. Yes.
Try.
Yeah.
So, for this little part, it just goes on to say that the core idea is that our nervous systems have a Goldilocks zone of arousal. Yeah, I was like, that's an interesting sentence. All right. So, too little and you remain in the comfort zone where boredom sets in, but too much and you enter the panic zone, which also stalls progress.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a tidbit that I want to share, but it's from an upcoming episode that will be coming out soon. It's part of our series of Side Hustle Summer Shorts. And I wanted to share a tidbit of one of our upcoming guests who you'll hear if you do watch that episode. But basically this guest was saying on the topic of like entrepreneurship and doing what you want to do, like, don't quit your job. And it's funny because there is, we've talked about the great resignation that happened last year of 2021. And then, like the Beyonce song came out and it's talking about like quit your job, which is funny because she's never had a 9-to-5. So that's a whole nother discussion on the internet. However, the point being is that like quitting your job might send you into panic, right? Like quitting your job could be the fire under your ass that you need. And you're like, you know what? I want to go after what I want to do. But it also could send you into that zone of panic where you're like, holy shit, I just made a huge life adjustment. And now I'm just worried about my survival, even though I did this to like focus on my success. You know what I mean? Like there is a fine line. And I do understand that like some people can do that. And they're just like, nope, I'm going to put everything I have into this business or this venture. And they have done it successfully. But the reality is that most of us have like real people problems and we don't have a safety net, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And so that when you said that zone of panic, that's exactly what I thought of. Cause I was like, yeah, you don't want to overextend yourself to the point where you're just like frozen or, you know what I mean? In shock of like what has just happened in your life. And you're like, I feel like I can't do anything now. So,
because you feel like your security is threatened.
Right.
Those basic needs are not going to be met. And so the panic sets in. Exactly. And so that might cause you to go back to even farther into your comfort zone. And then I'm speaking from personal experience here so much right now.
Yes.
I've been there. I've done that. I quit my job and then I got another job because I was freaked out and it wasn't what I wanted to pursue. This was 2 years before we even started this podcast. So yes, I was, right in this mode and I'm still not there, but I am now taking the steps to get there. I'm not so far back in that comfort zone that I scared myself back into.
Yeah. Fair.
So great point. So in this article, they actually, and I'm sure you guys have seen this on Instagram because Ryann sent it to me recently. There is this chart. And of course, our resources will be posted in the show notes if you guys want to check it out, but I'm sure you've seen it on social media. So basically, it's like, oh God, I'm terrible with the names of like diagrams. But it's like comfort zone. And then it's like a bigger circle is the fear zone. And then the next circle is the learning zone. And then the biggest circle is the growth zone.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes.
And doesn't it give like little examples in each one?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So we'll go through those. Okay. So in your comfort zone, you feel safe and in control. Okay. So in the fear zone, you are affected by others' opinion, you find excuses, and you lack self-confidence. Okay. So once you move past the fear zone, you're in the learning zone. And here you are dealing with challenges and problems. You acquire new skills and you extend the comfort zone. Okay. I know. Yeah. And then the fourth one is the growth zone. So this is where you find purpose, you live dreams, you set new goals, and you realize aspirations.
Oh, interesting.
It's a good, yeah, it's a good one. We'll try and repost it on our story or something so you guys can see. I
Yeah.
swear Ryan sent it to me one time. So
Yeah. No, I did. Yeah. And I remember because I like the way they broke things down,
yeah,
like, because I also think it's important to know that it doesn't always have to do with like your own personal confidence in like yourself and your value of self. Sometimes it's really just confidence to do that thing, right? Like
yeah,
whatever that thing is, if it's a goal. Because I know for me, like, just like doing this podcast, like a lot of times, especially being in the social media realm and knowing that that's where like our marketing needs to come from, it's not so much of like, do they like me anymore? It's like, do they like the content? Do they like the
yeah,
product? And
yeah,
that product is a little bit of a reflection of us because we are the brand, right? We're not different personalities. We're not playing characters. I mean, we are characters sometimes, but we're not playing them on purpose. You know
right,
what I mean? And so now I do realize that that's kind of what I'm looking at, which is progress, because I do think that a lot of social media does become internalized. And I don't know if this is the same for you. You can comment for yourself, Morgan, but I know for me, a lot of times now it's more like, is this product being accepted? Is it well liked? And that's kind of like I guess in some ways it could be a projection of my own self-confidence, but I do know that I feel a lot more confident in myself now. However, putting yourself out there in social media, in the social space, in the public space, it's like, it's more like, is this content worth putting time into, really?
right. No, that's true. That's true. I mean, it's definitely a question that weighs on both of us. We always
Mm,
get excited when we see, high views or whatever, that
mm-hmm,
validation, like we
mm-hmm,
always talk about
mm-hmm.
we're human beings. That's what it is. But,
Right.
like Ryan and I split up the editing for this. We both
Mm-hmm,
get to see the content before we put it out there. We don't
mm-hmm.
just have the conversation and walk away and someone else puts out our product.
Right.
So we know what we're saying. And when I listen back to what we say, I think, this might help one person.
Mm,
And we've talked about that. Even if it helps one person
yeah.
do something or feel better or not feel so alone,
Mm-hmm.
that feels good.
That is really true. And Morgan is a really good person to remind me of that, because I think, no, seriously, because that's like that's that's like self-reflection, right? Like there was something that you watched, or that there was a person that you saw do something, and they got through to you. Their content, or whatever they made, whatever it
Yeah.
is, got through to you, and it touched you in a way where it was like, I know that I can do this as well for someone else, even if it only reaches a small audience or one person at all. If it helps somebody do something that they're excited to do, I think that it's all been worth it. You know what I mean? That journey is worth it. And that's when you get into like the growth zone, I think, when it's like when you're setting new goals and figuring it out, new aspirations for yourself, right? Which is completely success looks so different for everyone. And so that's why I think it's important to, yeah, kind of have like that look inside and like see what you actually want to do. Like, where are you in these zones, right? Like in this little circle diagram
Right.
thing, right? Like, where do you fall? um yeah, let's answer that. Where do we think we fall?
Oh, I mean, and here's the thing. I think you can look at this chart from different angles of your life, right?
Mhm.
Like different
Yeah.
aspects of your life. And you can look at it in different times in your life.
Mm.
So, you might have your dream job, your 2.5 kids, your white picket fence, but
Mhm.
you might still be in your comfort zone because what you really want to do is, go back to school and like do something else. So I
Mm.
think this is always something to look back to
Okay.
when you are setting new goals for yourself.
Fair. Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like I'm hopefully in the learning zone. If I had to say where I'm at in my life right now, I'm trying to be in the learning zone.
Okay.
How
Okay.
about you?
I would say, I mean, yeah, I do feel like I'm a little bit. So sorry, go over them again. So what's the smallest one?
So, comfort zone is when you feel safe and in control.
Yeah.
The fear zone is where you're affected by others' opinions, you find excuses, and you lack self confidence.
Okay.
The learning zone is where you deal with challenges and problems, acquire new skills, and extend the comfort zone. And then the growth zone is you're finding purpose, you're living dreams, you're setting new goals, and you're realizing aspirations.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so I agree. I do think I'm in the learning zone. Um yeah, I mean, I do feel like I'm in the learning zone, but like you said, depending on the aspect of your life that you're talking about, I do in some aspects of my life think that I'm in the last zone because I have set new goals for myself. Like I don't think I have given myself enough credit in the way that I've been able to like in the last 6 months really shift my complete career
Yeah. No, that's
in
great point.
you know what I mean? Like literally shifting my career into something that I actually want to do. Like that I was just talking about this the other day with someone and I was like that as much as it was scary and like as much as it's still scary, like there's a lot of times when I'm like, man, sometimes it is easier to just know exactly how much you're going to make and like be done with it and not worry. But at the same time, like I could never go back to the stress that I had. Like I could never go back to that life, that mindset, because it was, like I said, my comfort zone in that situation was so uncomfortable for myself. Like
Yeah.
the only thing that I was comfortable with was my finances. And that's just like not enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and now it's lucrative enough to where I am making literally even more than I was. But like that was always the goal. But like overall, the mental stability of it all has been much more than I could have ever asked for in, in terms of like money and, monetary
Right.
gain. So
Right.
yeah.
All right. So, what are some of the benefits of leaving your comfort zone? We have a couple of examples to share. So, the first benefit is self actualization. For many, self actualization acts as a powerful incentive to leave the comfort zone. The concept was popularized through Albert Maslow's theory of human motivation, which
Mhm.
he describes as follows: what a man can be, he must be. This need we may call self actualization. So,
That's
what a
it.
man can be, he must be. So, like realizing your potential.
Okay.
So, it goes on to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basically saying that the satisfaction of our basic and psychological needs being compared to inhibiting the comfort zone. So, whether we're conscious of it or not, the theory argues our next requirement is for personal growth and fulfillment.
Hmm.
So our basic needs are being met. What's next, right?
Yes.
So
Right.
we have a roof over our head, we have clothes, we have food.
Hmm.
What else is there for us?
Yes. Yeah, I get that. And that
Mhm.
kind of goes back to what we were saying about, maybe you can be successful in your comfort zone if you already have a very large amount of money, because in the current day that we live in, in the world that we live in, like that pretty much means that you can do anything within your reach, right? Like, or with not within your reach, right? Like you can go to any country, you can start a business anytime. But honestly, that's why I think like people with like large amounts of money that just like have nothing to do with themselves, like do weird shit because it's like, what else could you possibly do? I mean, right? Like, what else?
Right, their boredom like standard is super high.
Yes, exactly,
Right. Yeah.
So, then it
Yeah.
turns into like dangerous game, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, not
Deadliest
immediately.
deadliest game of them all. That's a reference from Wedding Crashers if you guys don't know. So all right. So it goes on to say, as long as the decision to leave the comfort zone aligns with a personal, nope. As long as the decision to leave the comfort zone aligns with a person's values, this shift is akin to making a bid for self-actualization.
Mm,
So it's important because for one, not striving for growth could mean falling into a state of inertia later in life,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So the next one is development of a growth mindset. So, a Stanford psychologist did research on mindsets regarding the shift in the positive in regards to psychology. Does that make sense?
The shift in the shift in the positive?
Shift in the field of positive psychology.
Okay.
So, her research distinguished between two contrasting belief systems: the fixed versus the growth mindset.
Right.
A fixed mindset people with a fixed mindset, people believe they have set doses of each ability with a
Mm.
corresponding ceiling of how much they can achieve.
Yeah.
So failure reveals inadequacy and criticism becomes a fatal blow to self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So not good. So in contrast, the growth mindset means recognizing humans as malleable. From this
Mm.
stance, setbacks become opportunities for learning and our potential becomes unlimited.
Oh, yeah. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, just kind of applying it to other aspects besides just like your own personal success, but also too like applying it to like you said like humans, right? Like seeing your parents as humans and not just your parents, right? That's a very fixed mindset to be like, well, these are my parents and they should conduct themselves in this way. Versus, kind of growing up, doing some inner work and realizing that like everyone is hopefully just doing the best with what they were given, whatever cards they were dealt.
Right.
And that's not to say you need to give everyone the best of intentions, or like, assume that they're always the best. It's just like assume that they are just what they are. You
Right.
know what I mean? But it doesn't mean you can't trust, and it doesn't mean that you can't like give them the opportunity to show you better, but it doesn't mean that you need to think of them in this way where it's like these are the things that you're supposed to do because you are X to me, right?
Right.
Because they are malleable.
Malleable. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So, number 3 is resilience and anti fragility.
yeah.
So, life isn't exactly a predictable affair. Perhaps then people shouldn't be either. Sooner or later, everyone faces adversity. Have you listened to the first part of this episode? A habit of expanding our comfort zone equips people to handle change and ambiguity with more poise, leading to resilience.
Yeah. No, exactly. Anti-fragility, man. That's really important, especially in our present day and age. Like there are so many things that could just constantly like consume you and make you feel down on yourself for not being able to do more, not being able to be more involved in whatever it is that you want to do. But like the reality is that everything started because someone said, like, you know what? I want to go do this thing. And, people followed. And now it does seem like, wow, like everyone I feel like there's like kind of an idea that like markets are like oversaturated because there's social media and everyone can do it. But like there is still, even in that, there's niches that you can get into, there's communities that you can find. And like that is one of our biggest goals, I feel, for this podcast, right? Is that like, of course, there's so many different podcasts that you can listen to. But for me, having that choice is really amazing because I don't always want to listen to the same thing every day, right? Like, I do like having those choices and being able to make my decision based off of what I'm going through that day, right? And so for me, it's not necessarily about too many options. It's just like finding what works for me and trying different things. And so I think it for me, it's trying to look at it as like a net positive, right? Not look at it as like, oh my God, there's too much out there. And that means that nobody would want what I have to give. It's like, no, that just means that people can have more specific choices to themselves, right? And
Right.
if they choose yours or they choose to be a part of your community, like the more the better. Like that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Hmm.
So, number 4 is greater self efficacy.
Hmm.
So, self efficacy is the belief in being able to execute necessary actions in service of a goal. Goals that lead to higher self efficacy are specific, not too difficult, and short term.
Okay.
So, leaving the comfort zone means a phase of trial and error, during which at least some level of success is inevitable.
Hmm.
Experiencing this success builds our self efficacy with belief in our abilities starting to grow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Living proof, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. So that's all great, right? But how do we do it? How do we leave our comfort zone? Ask Ryann. She did it this year.
I'd like to hear from the experts first before I give my 2
Fair
cents.
enough. All right. So we have 7 ways you can leave your comfort zone. So, number 1, Do everyday things differently.
Hmm.
So let's see. What's our example? Turn off your smartphone and television while having dinner.
Okay.
Decide what to wear more quickly, or just slow down and take the surroundings in on a walk.
Hmm.
Not too hard.
Right. Right.
They
Yeah.
might get harder as we go. That was number 1, so we'll see. All right, so number 2 is expand your professional skill set.
Mm.
Ryan and I talk about this all the time. I'm always
Yeah.
like, I found this course. I'm looking at this thing. She's probably like, Morgan, come on. But
No.
it's true, though. It's true.
Yeah, I
And you
can't.
too.
What'd you say?
I was saying, and you too. You're always working on different things.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to keep I don't want to keep referencing episodes that aren't out yet, but another one of our guests actually mentioned something about this because she was basically saying that she had recently taken a master class. And I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting because Morgan, my co-host, has also, like dabbled in the master classes as well.
Yeah.
And I know you've taken them, and I was just thinking like, and she even said, she was like, I didn't finish it. And she was like, but the first, she was like, but the
Yeah.
first one. And I was just like, no, that's exactly it though. You're still like learning. You're still like trying to grasp new things. And that is the first portion of like moving into like new fields. And so, no, I just think if anything, it's kind of like on the procrastination episode, like trying new things is not the problem. You don't always have to follow through 100% with everything. But if you have like the willpower to do multiple things, like you said, a little bit of success will add to like that sense of like self-confidence and self-efficacy, like it will
Right.
build you up. It
It
doesn't
will
always have
help
to be
you.
everything.
Right. It'll help you get from the fear zone to the learning zone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you want that new job, but you have never been in that industry before,
Mm-hmm.
we have this, we say this example in so many episodes, but like, I'm at point A, I want to get to point C, but I don't know anything about B, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sign up for a class,
Yeah.
look for an online course. There's so much information at our fingertips now. We really don't have any excuse.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Well said.
Ugh. So, next one, try a new diet. So, we don't love the word diet here, but many people want to improve their diets and stop relying on comfort foods.
Mm.
So, doing so often means trying something new.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's
I think
true.
that's fair. I mean, it will definitely help with your mental if you're just like eating shit and like, just binging on a whole thing of Oreos every night. Like,
Right.
that's not going to make you feel great. I mean, in your
Right.
body, but also in your mind.
Right.
So
Yes.
maybe making some slight adjustments would be a
Mm-hmm.
good idea.
Oh, for sure. I know, I don't know if any of you were struggling in 2020. It's still too soon.
Yeah.
But I know for me, my eating habits were wild. Like I have never been one to like love sweets, and I ate more sweets in that year than I think I ever have in a year. Like I just it was a comfort even though it had never been a comfort for me in the past. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not in that way at least. And I was like getting like Oreo or like cookies and cream like cereal. I mean, just every meal that I could add in some type of sweets or something. I would never buy that now. I don't even go down that aisle, but like it was just something about then that I needed comfort. And
Mhm.
obviously, I think we all needed a little bit more comfort in that
Yeah.
year. It was a wild time, so I'm not blaming myself for it, but I get what this means. It's not
Yeah.
saying, eat like asparagus and grilled chicken for the rest of your life. It's just saying like literally your diet, what can you add to it to make it a little bit more successful for you, right? Or effective for your life.
Right, right. And it does go on to say that sticking to a healthy diet can be as challenging as it is rewarding. So
Mm.
you are helping yourself with self-efficacy growth.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if you do have small milestones that you want to hit by incorporating, and maybe it's not losing 10 pounds, maybe it's I'm going to eat vegetables with 5 meals for dinner this week.
Mhm. Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
You did that.
Exactly.
What else can you
Yep.
do?
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah. And it also mentions taking workouts to the next level.
Hmm. Okay.
So, you know, maybe doing a little more yoga instead of
Mhm.
twice a week, maybe 3 times.
Mhm.
Maybe take that walk. You could do number 1 and number 4 together.
Yes.
There you go. Take a
Right.
walk.
Mhm.
So, And then the next one is taking your workouts to the next level.
Mhm.
So very similar to number 3. And it goes on to say, similarly, many aspire to this goal. For some, it could be running their first 5K, but for others, it might be completing a triathlon, which both of those seem like a lot. My example, I would say, maybe incorporating an extra yoga sesh once a week or going for a
Yeah.
walk
Right. Yeah,
or
exactly.
something like that. But again, I get where this is coming from because it obviously does help your mental health.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, if you see improvements in your body, if you feel like stronger and have more energy, then you might end up being a little more productive. You might
Right.
have a one extra hour that day to do your masterclass.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that
Yeah.
is the thing, especially for me, like sometimes if I am on the computer all day or I'm in the office all day or wherever I am, I do try to take out some time to just like look at nature. And I know that sounds kind of like what, but I literally like sometimes like my eyes are just so tired from looking at screens that just staring out of a window or sitting outside on my break like really does kind of like add some clarity to my mind.
Yeah.
I try to like do things where I'm like, oh, like I'll count the trees or something to just
Yeah.
like get my mind focused on something other than just a screen. And that is really tough because at this day and age, like I mean, being on your computer or your phone is necessity. It's not just about like scrolling for hours. Sometimes that happens and like whatever, it is what it is, but it's not always that. It's like sometimes I just don't have the option to get away from the screen.
Yeah.
you know and so I do try to add and incorporate little things like that into my day just to kind of give my eyes a break. And it seems to add to my a little bit more balanced of stress level sometimes. So,
Yeah. Like a little bit of a reset.
right,
I've done
right.
I've done that too. I don't think it's weird to go like look out the window for a few
Okay.
minutes. I agree. So, number 5 is get creative.
Hmm.
So, creativity, anything from writing a poem to building a business, usually involves an element of risk.
Mhm.
Creative endeavors are about stepping into the unknown with failing and subsequent learning as expected outcomes. So
Okay.
even if you're drawing a picture and you want to draw a butterfly and then you're like,
Mhm.
shit, it doesn't look like a butterfly. Well, the next time you draw it, you know where you can improve and
Right.
you are exercising those creative muscles you might not get to on the day to day.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think this is a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And then number 6 is challenge your beliefs.
Mm.
So while exploring alternative perspectives can be uncomfortable, it enables growth and insight by challenging entrenched beliefs.
Yeah.
Entrenched. That's a good word because that shit runs deep. We talk about this, like creating healthy boundaries. Go back to that episode. Like sometimes it is really hard. You know what you need to do, but to unprogram yourself
Yes, right.
is so difficult.
Yes, that is very true. I just always go back to something that I literally learned like my freshman year of college. Um, One of my English professors just said, like always become or like aim to become a truth seeker, and at first, like face value, it's like, okay, sure, but I just remember her explaining it throughout the semester, just being like, that means like the truth in yourself, like what do you believe, like, and as you're seeking it out, like learn about it, like is that something that you actually want to believe, is that something that you want to hold close to you, right? Like what are your values, who have they been given to you by, and what are those affected by? Because for me, like I think a lot of times like beliefs aren't just like religious beliefs or political beliefs or social beliefs. Like sometimes it's just in believing what you see and like how you interact with people and like what does the truth look like for you. I don't really want to get into like absolute truth or anything like that, but I'm just saying like sometimes for me, taking that second to like look at a situation and be like, okay, does this actually need to affect me in the way that it is right now, right? Like can
Yeah.
I kind of break down the situation and look at it from a different perspective and realize that like it might not actually have anything to do with me? You know what I mean? It's just I have held on to this like belief for so long that I feel like it should affect me. But sometimes when you just take a step back and kind of give yourself a moment to breathe, it's like this actually might not be what I need to carry with me. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
this could just be given to me or impressed upon me.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have like the power to reject that, which feels really good sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But not absolute. No. So, number 7 is practice honesty.
Mm.
So, when employed sensitively, honesty can be nope. Okay, I was going to say a different word, but it's not that word. Honesty can be a tremendous catalyst for personal growth. When being straight with yourself in a private journal or telling someone close how you feel, honesty forces people out of their comfort zone. Through honest communication, we can understand ourselves better and build deeper bonds with others.
Yeah. I was literally just writing down on my notepad, like, you need to journal. um, because yeah, I don't think you always necessarily need to be like outwardly honest with everyone in your life. Like some people just aren't worth your time. Like you can,
Right.
you
Not
know what I
everyone
mean?
needs to know all of your business. Like, that's okay.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you aren't being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
then it's hard to move out into that next zone that you're working towards.
Yes. Very true. Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So, big one there. Oh, and with that all being said, are we doing this wrong?
Hmm. I would say at this point, I really do think that it's important to like, as they say, like give the roses while they're here, right? And like, I do think that we need to be very proud of the fact that like our comfort zone was sitting in your garage or sitting on the couch talking about how many things that we were capable of doing and like never doing them, right?
Yeah.
But here we are almost a year later, and we are doing one of the biggest things that we've ever done in both of our lives. So,
Oh,
yeah,
it's true. It
we're
is
doing
big.
it.
Aw. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so true. That's so true. You are right. And we are doing this right.
Yes.
Ish.
Yeah. We both had to take a second. Like, yes, we
Hmm.
are, and we will. But we're always willing to learn. Like, this isn't it. This is the
Right.
starting point, really.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. Like that is motivating for me. It's like sometimes it can feel like, wow, if I gave up tomorrow, would it matter? But at the same time, like it still matters today. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like it still matters because it makes me feel good that this thing is here. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's part of like self actualization, right? Like these
Yeah.
things genuinely bring me joy. Like Morgan said, we are the editors. Like there are some times when I'm like, oh, I don't even want to pick up the episode. I don't want to put it into like my drive. Like I don't even want to start editing. But literally every time that I start editing, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a good episode. Like, wow, like I'm so
Yeah.
excited to put that out. And so I would say that, yeah, even if you feel like you're doing it wrong and you are stuck in a comfort zone, like just take the time to do a small portion of whatever it is. For me, that is very self-satisfying. It adds gratification. And yeah, I would just implore everyone that like those things are possible, it's
Yeah.
it's all really up to you. So
Yeah. It really is. It really, really is. And we would love to hear how you guys got out of your comfort zone, or if you're trying to get out of your comfort zone.
mm-hmm.
We're still working on it. There are still places where I feel like I'm in that first circle. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
said, like this can be, you can be at different stages in different parts of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can be at different stages at different times in your life.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. Yeah, be kind with yourself, be patient with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but also maybe pick one of the 7 and try it out.
Yeah. No,
Try it out.
exactly. That's all it's about. Yeah, just trying it out, and if it works, let us know. Let us know how that process goes or what your process looks like, right?
Ooh, yeah. We
So
love a good
yeah.
recommendation.
We do. We really do.
Really, really do. So, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. Again, don't forget to check out our bonus episodes that are coming out to highlight all of these amazing people we got to talk to regarding their side hustles.
Yes.
Some really, really interesting interviews for you guys. So definitely check those out. And as always, if you want to get a hold of us, you can shoot us an email at wrongthepodcast@gmail.com. You can always slide into our DMs on Instagram at wrongthepodcast. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube for the visual conversation.
Yes.
And it's so important. And if you guys already did it, we're so grateful. But don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have so much exciting stuff coming out for you guys soon. Coming up on our year, we cannot tell you how grateful we are. And we just, we just can't say thank you enough. And yeah, but we will say it more on next week's episode. So don't forget to tune in. All right. Well, we love you guys and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.